This is a story about a mistake I made inside my own home, a decision that felt reasonable, even kind, and how that decision slowly unraveled my marriage, my sense of safety, and the man I thought I knew better than anyone else. When people hear what happened, they always ask the same question: why didn't you notice sooner? The truth is, nothing felt wrong at first. 7 years ago, I was 8 months pregnant, living in a quiet American suburb and married to a man everyone trusted, including me. What happened didn't start with fear. It started with convenience, with routine, with someone who quietly entered our lives and learned everything about us without ever asking permission. By the time I realized something was wrong, it was already too late. Someone had been watching me, listening to me, waiting. And when I finally tried to fix my mistake, I didn't stop what was coming. I only gave it a reason. Before everything went wrong, my life looked perfect. I was 25 years old, newly married, and 8 months pregnant with my first child. My husband's name was Ethan. He was 30, successful, calm, the kind of man people trusted the moment they met him. He owned a small but growing business, and financially, we were more than comfortable. We lived in a quiet suburban neighborhood, the kind where nothing ever seems to happen. 2 floors, a small backyard, and more space than we actually needed for just the two of us. At that time, I still believed that safety was something you could buy. A good house, a stable income, a loving marriage. I was wrong. Because this was my first pregnancy, everyone kept telling me the same thing. Don't get tired, don't stress, let other people help. Ethan was especially protective. He suggested that I stop working and rest at home. He said he could handle everything, but I wasn't the type of person who could just sit still. I liked routines, I liked control, and I hated feeling useless. So we compromised. I would stay home, but we would hire a live-in housekeeper to help with cleaning, cooking, and anything that required physical effort. At the time, it sounded like the smartest decision we could make. Ethan said his mother knew someone who could recommend a reliable girl. I didn't think much of it. I should have. When she arrived, the first thing that crossed my mind was, she was too normal. Her name was Daisy. She was around my age. Quiet, polite, always lowering her eyes when she spoke. She didn't look dangerous. She didn't act strange. She didn't act strange. She smiled just enough to seem harmless. I remember thinking, maybe I'm just overthinking. Daisy worked fast. She learned quickly. The house was always clean. The food tasted good. Little by little, I started to rely on her. And that's when the first small detail appeared. Something that felt insignificant at the time. Every Thursday, Daisy asked for the night off. She said she needed to visit her younger sister who lived nearby. She would leave Thursday afternoon and return Friday morning. I didn't question it. I trusted her. And more importantly, I trusted my husband. Back then, I still believed nothing bad could happen inside my own home. I had no idea that every Thursday night, I was being left alone with something I didn't understand yet. And that Daisy wasn't just leaving the house. She was leaving behind something else. Something that had already started watching me. At first, Daisy's Thursday routine didn't bother me. Everyone deserves time off. And I didn't want to be that employer, the paranoid one. She always packed a small bag. Nothing heavy, nothing unusual. By Thursday afternoon, she would politely remind me. I'll be leaving around 4, she'd say. My sister needs help at her place. She never mentioned an address, never mentioned a phone number, and I never asked. Looking back now, that silence feels loud. My husband, Ethan, usually came home late. Even on normal days, he rarely arrived before 11. So on Thursdays, It wasn't strange for me to be alone at night. At least, that's what I told myself. By the time my pregnancy reached 8 months, I had already taken leave from work. My days were slow, quiet, too quiet. Thursday nights felt different. The house sounded bigger when there were fewer people inside it. Every footstep echoed. Every creak felt intentional. I started leaving the TV on longer than usual, just to fill the silence. One Thursday night, Ethan was away on a short business trip. 4 days out of town. Monday through Wednesday passed without incident. But Thursday came, and Daisy left as usual. That night, it was just me in the house. I remember sitting on the couch, half watching something I didn't care about, when a strange feeling settled in my chest. Not fear. More like unease. As if someone else was awake while I was trying to relax. I laughed at myself, chalking it all up to pregnancy hormones. Back then, that was my excuse for everything. Until I heard it. A sound. Soft and dull, like something hitting the floor. It came from the back of the house, from Daisy's room. I froze. The house was locked tight. I'd checked every door and window myself before sitting down. It's nothing, I told myself. The house settling. Air pressure. Anything logical. Then it happened again. Louder this time. Something fell. My heart started racing. Daisy wasn't home. Ethan was out of town. And I was 8 months pregnant, alone in a 2-story house. I didn't move. I sat there, holding my stomach, listening. That's when I noticed something else. Daisy's bedroom door was locked. I knew because the handle wouldn't budge when I tried it. Why would an empty room be locked? I pressed my ear against the wood, holding my breath. At first, I heard nothing. Then, a sound I can still hear in my nightmares. Crying. It wasn't loud or hysterical, just a quiet, rhythmic sobbing coming from the other side. I stepped back immediately. My mind raced through every explanation that made sense. Maybe Daisy came back and forgot to tell me. Maybe I didn't hear her arrive. I knocked on the door. "Daisy?" I called softly. No answer. The crying stopped. Then something inside the room fell again. Hard. I knocked harder this time. Asked again. Still nothing. I don't know why I did what I did next. Curiosity. Fear. Instinct. I went to get the spare key. By the time I returned, my hands were shaking. I unlocked the door and slowly pushed it open. The room was empty. No Daisy. No person. Just a mess. Her window was open. The curtains moved with the wind. A cat jumped down from the table and ran past me, out the door. That was it. A stupid cat. That's what I told myself. I laughed. A weak, embarrassed laugh, and blamed everything on my nerves. I closed the window, straightened the room, put everything back where it belonged. That's when I saw the photo frame lying face down on the floor. It hadn't broken, but the back had popped open, and behind the family photo inside it was a small picture, a passport-sized photo, of my husband. At first, I didn't understand what I was looking at. The photo was small, worn at the edges, like it had been handled many times. It was Ethan, not a recent picture, an old one, the kind you'd use for an ID. I stood there, holding the frame in my hands, trying to breathe normally. I told myself there had to be an explanation. Maybe she found it somewhere in the house. Maybe it fell behind the frame by accident. But that didn't make sense. The family photo inside the frame was of Daisy's parents. She once told me it was the only picture she had of them. Why would my husband's photo be hidden behind it? I checked the rest of the room. Nothing else looked unusual. No notes, no strange objects. Just that. My first instinct was to call Daisy. It was late, but I didn't care. The phone rang. Once. Twice. No answer. I tried again. Still nothing. Then I called Ethan. It rang longer this time. I almost hung up, thinking he was already asleep. But then he picked up. His voice was thick, like I'd pulled him out of a deep sleep. I asked him one question. "Why does Daisy have your photo in her room?" "What do you mean?" he asked. I explained everything. The noises, the locked door, the photo behind the frame. When I finished, he didn't laugh. He didn't sound surprised. He just said, "Let's talk about it tomorrow." That answer didn't comfort me. The rest of the night, I didn't sleep. Every sound felt closer. Every shadow felt intentional. When Daisy returned the next morning, I was already waiting. She walked in like nothing had happened, smiled politely, took off her shoes. I held the photo up in front of her. "Why is this in your room?" Her face changed instantly. Not guilt. Fear. She looked down. Her hands started shaking. At first, she said she didn't know, said it must have been a mistake. I didn't raise my voice. I just asked again. And again. She started crying, but she still didn't answer. When Ethan came home, I was already exhausted. He tried to calm me down, told me to think about the baby, told me stress wasn't good for me. Then he turned to Daisy and asked her directly, "Why do you have my photo?" She didn't answer him either. She ran, locked herself in her room. That was the moment something inside me snapped. I didn't feel scared anymore. I felt violated, because whatever was happening, it wasn't just in my head. It was about boundaries being crossed inside my own home. I wanted her gone. That day. But I didn't fire her. Not yet. And that hesitation, that single moment of mercy, is something I still regret. Because after that day, things didn't just feel wrong. They started disappearing. Later that afternoon, I tried to calm myself. I told myself not to jump to conclusions, not to ruin everything over one photo. I took a shower, hoping the hot water would quiet my thoughts. When I came out, Ethan was standing in the bedroom. He looked at my neck. "You're not wearing it," he said. "Wearing what?" "The necklace I gave you. You've worn it every day since we started dating." I froze. He was right. That necklace was never off my body. I told him I stopped wearing jewelry during the pregnancy. My fingers were swollen. My skin felt sensitive. He nodded, but something in his expression didn't relax. "Where is it?" he asked. I went to my jewelry box. It wasn't there. I checked again. And again. I emptied the drawer onto the bed. A strange silence filled the room. I knew exactly where I'd left it. I hadn't gone anywhere in weeks. I hadn't worn it out. The house wasn't big, and only 3 people lived there. Me, Ethan, and Daisy. My heart started pounding. I didn't want to say it out loud, but the thought was already there. I went outside. Daisy was watering the plants in the yard. I asked her calmly, "Have you seen my necklace?" She looked genuinely confused. "What necklace?" she asked. The way she said it, too fast, too clean, made my stomach tighten. I asked again. She said no. I walked past her and went straight to her room. I didn't ask permission. I opened her closet, and there it was, my necklace, hanging neatly inside, along with other things. My lipstick, my nail polish, a brooch I hadn't seen in months. Items I thought I'd misplaced, items I hadn't even realized were gone. For a moment, I couldn't move. It felt like standing inside someone else's fantasy. Like she wasn't stealing things to sell them. She was collecting them. Becoming me. Daisy appeared at the door. She started crying immediately. Swore she didn't take anything. Swore she didn't know how they got there. But I didn't need explanations anymore. This was obsession. I told her to pack her things, that she had to leave. Now. She dropped to her knees, begged, said she had nowhere else to go. I didn't feel angry. I felt cold. I told her to leave the house before my husband called the police. She left that day. And as I watched her walk out the door, I thought the nightmare was over. I thought removing her from the house would fix everything. I was wrong. Because whatever Daisy brought into our home didn't leave with her. And worse, I didn't know yet that Daisy was pregnant, or that someone else would come back for her. After Daisy left, the house felt lighter. That's the only word I can use. No strange looks. No unexplained tension. No locked doors that didn't make sense. For the first time in weeks, I slept through the night. A few weeks later, I gave birth to a healthy baby girl. We named her Lily. Holding her for the first time, I believed, truly believed, that everything bad was finally behind us. My mother came to stay with us for a while, helping during the first weeks after the birth. The house felt full again. Normal. Safe. Ethan avoided talking about Daisy. I avoided asking. Some truths feel easier to ignore when life gives you something beautiful in return. When my maternity leave was almost over, reality caught up with me. I wasn't ready to quit my job, and I wasn't ready to be alone at home with a newborn all day. So we agreed to hire help again. This time, I was careful. I contacted an agency. I made my boundaries clear. No one my age, no one older, someone young, professional, trained, someone who wouldn't blur lines. The agency told me they'd need a week to arrange everything. But 3 days later, they called back. They said someone was available. Her name was Luna. She was 18. Small, quiet, barely spoke unless spoken to. She said she'd been trained for infant care. She showed certificates, references. She looked harmless. I told myself this was different. That night, Luna slept in the same room Daisy used to stay in. The first night passed quietly. No noises. No strange feelings. I remember thinking, see? You were just traumatized. Then came the second night. I was half asleep when I heard screaming. High-pitched. Panicked. It came from the back of the house. From Luna's room. Ethan and I rushed downstairs. She was shaking. Crying. Barely able to speak. She kept saying the same thing. "There was a woman in my room," she said. I asked her what she meant. She said a woman with long hair was standing near the wall, watching her. Then she walked straight through it. I wanted to laugh. I wanted to say it was a nightmare. But something stopped me. Because Luna wasn't hysterical. She was terrified. She begged not to sleep in that room again. I told her she could sleep on the floor in our bedroom for the night, just until she felt better. That night, as I lay in bed with my newborn in my arms, I thought I saw someone standing near Lily's crib. A woman, watching. When I turned the light on, she was gone. And that was the moment I realized the house was never empty. And whatever had started with Daisy was still here, watching my child. I didn't sleep after that. Not really. Every time Lily moved, every time the floor creaked, my body jolted awake. I kept the lights on until morning. Luna lay on a thin mattress on our bedroom floor, her back pressed against the wall, her eyes wide open the entire night. She didn't cry again. That scared me more. The next day, Ethan tried to act normal. He joked, made coffee, kissed my forehead like he always did, but something about him felt distant, like his mind was somewhere else. That afternoon, Luna followed me everywhere. She refused to be alone in the house, refused to step into the back hallway. I told myself she was young, easily frightened, but then she said something that made my stomach twist. She looks at the baby like she belongs to her. I asked her what she meant. Luna shook her head violently. "She doesn't look angry," she said. "She looks jealous." That night, Lily woke up crying. I picked her up and started rocking her gently. That's when I heard it. Soft laughter. A woman's laugh. Low. Close. I froze. Luna sat up on the floor. "That's her," she whispered. I turned toward Ethan. He was lying beside me, his eyes closed, but his breathing was wrong. Too shallow. Too fast. "Ethan," I whispered. "Do you hear that?" He didn't answer. The laughter came again. This time from downstairs. Then, the sound of breaking glass. Multiple plates shattering against the floor. I shook Ethan harder. "Someone's in the house." He sat up abruptly, his face pale. "I'll check," he said. His voice didn't sound like his own. He walked out of the room and closed the door behind him. I locked it. I held Lily close and waited. Minutes passed. Then I heard Ethan scream. Not a shout. A scream. Raw. Terrified. I opened the door despite everything in me screaming not to. The lights downstairs were off. Ethan was crouched in the middle of the living room, his hands over his head. He was shaking, muttering. "I didn't mean to," he kept saying. "I swear I didn't mean to." I turned on the lights. There was no one else there. No broken plates. No signs of forced entry. Just my husband, crying on the floor. When he saw me, his eyes widened in horror. He backed away. "Please," he said. "I'm not a killer." I didn't understand. I didn't ask. I just held him as he shook in my arms. And in that moment, I knew something was very wrong. This wasn't stress. This wasn't exhaustion. Something had found a way inside my house, inside my marriage, inside my husband, and it wasn't done yet. That night, sleep never came. Ethan sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the floor, rocking slightly back and forth. He wouldn't touch me. He wouldn't even look at Lily. By morning, my decision was made. I called Mark. Mark was Ethan's business partner. They built the company from nothing. If anyone knew the truth about my husband, it was him. He arrived within the hour. The moment Mark saw Ethan, his face didn't twist in confusion. It was recognition. Total, pale-faced recognition. "You know, don't you?" I asked Mark. Ethan said nothing. Mark sighed and sat down across from me. He told me everything. Ethan had been having an affair. Not recently, not once, for months, with Daisy. Every Thursday, the nights she said she was visiting her sister. She was meeting my husband. Hotels, short-term apartments, places that left no trace. Ethan had promised to end it, promised it meant nothing. He said it was a mistake, that he felt lonely while I was pregnant, that he would stop after the baby was born. Mark said he believed him, but there was something Ethan hadn't told me. Daisy was pregnant. When I fired her, she was already carrying his child. I couldn't breathe. The crying, the photo, the stolen things. She wasn't trying to replace me. She was trying to be me. Mark told me Daisy had begged Ethan not to abandon her, begged him to acknowledge the baby. Instead, she was thrown out of the house, erased. And weeks later, she died. Poison. No note. No explanation. My ears rang as Mark kept talking, but I barely heard him. All I could think about was this: the woman who watched my baby. The laughter. The jealousy. Ethan finally looked up at me. "I didn't know she would do this," he whispered. I didn't think she could. I asked him one question. "Do what?" He didn't answer. That night, Ethan's condition got worse. His eyes stayed open, even when his body collapsed from exhaustion. He whispered apologies to someone who wasn't there, and just before sunrise, he said a name. Not mine. Not our daughter's. He said, "Daisy." And I realized something horrifying. Whatever was haunting my house wasn't a stranger. It was someone we betrayed, and she wasn't alone. By the third night, Ethan was no longer himself. He refused to eat, refused to sleep. Every few minutes, his eyes darted to empty corners of the room like someone was standing there, just out of sight. I couldn't do this alone anymore. I called Ethan's parents and asked them to come over immediately. I also called a doctor. While we waited, Luna came downstairs with a small bag. Her hands were shaking. "I need to leave," she said. "Right now." I told her she couldn't just walk out, that something strange was happening and we needed to understand it together. She looked at me with an expression I couldn't read. Not fear. Resignation. "I was never supposed to be here this long," she said quietly. That sentence made my blood run cold. "What do you mean?" I asked. She didn't answer. She just walked past me and out the front door. Later that afternoon, I called the agency. I told them everything. The screaming, the hallucinations, the babysitter leaving without notice. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. Then the woman said something that made my legs give out. "Ma'am, we haven't sent anyone to your house yet." I thought I misheard her. She repeated it. The babysitter I requested was scheduled to arrive in 6 days. They had no employee named Luna. I dropped the phone. That night, I searched the room Luna had stayed in. Inside the closet, hidden behind folded blankets, I found something. A plate. On it were strands of hair, nail clippings, dried flowers, and a photo. My husband's photo. Surrounded by ash. Burned incense. I understood then. Luna wasn't a babysitter. She was a messenger. And Daisy wasn't the one who came back. Someone else did. Someone younger. Someone quieter. Someone with nothing left to lose. That night, Ethan was taken to the hospital. He screamed the entire way. Not in pain, in terror. He kept begging someone to stop, to forgive him. And as the ambulance doors closed, I saw her, standing across the street. A young woman, watching, smiling. The next morning, Ethan was still unconscious. The doctors said his body was fine, but his mind was fractured. They used words like acute psychosis, severe trauma response. None of those explanations matched what I had seen with my own eyes. While Ethan was being monitored, Mark returned. He told me he'd driven to Daisy's hometown after everything I told him. He needed answers. When he arrived, her house was empty. Neighbors said Daisy had lived there with only one family member, her younger sister, a girl named Luna. Mark showed me a photo on his phone. My chest tightened. It was her. The same face. The same quiet eyes. She wasn't a babysitter. She was Daisy's sister. The neighbors told Mark the rest. Daisy had been the sole provider. Their parents were gone. Luna depended on her entirely. When Daisy became pregnant, she believed she was finally going to have a family, a future. Instead, she was abandoned, humiliated, thrown away. Weeks later, she drank poison. She died alone. After the funeral, Luna disappeared. No one knew where she went. Until now. Mark said something else before he left. There was a rumor, he told me quietly, that Daisy had started learning things, old rituals, dark ones. I didn't ask for details. I already knew. That night, I returned home alone. The house was silent. Too silent. In Lily's room, I found something on the floor. A small folded piece of paper. Inside, written in neat handwriting, were 5 words. Now he knows how it feels. I burned the note. Not because I was afraid, but because I knew the story wasn't over yet. After that night, nothing strange happened again. No laughter, no shadows, no footsteps behind closed doors. The house went quiet. Too quiet. Ethan stayed in a hospital. Days turned into weeks. Weeks into months. Sometimes he recognized me. Sometimes he didn't. But every time he woke up screaming, it was the same word. Forgive me. He never said my name again. The doctors tried everything. Medication, therapy, isolation. Nothing brought him back. A year later, Ethan died. They said it was complications. His body simply gave up. I didn't argue, because I knew something inside him had already been taken long before his heart stopped. I sold the house. I didn't pack everything. Some rooms I couldn't enter anymore. Lily grew. She laughs easily, sleeps peacefully. She has no memory of what happened, and I pray she never will. Sometimes people ask me if I believe in ghosts now. I tell them no. I believe in consequences. I believe some betrayals don't end with apologies. Some wounds don't heal with time. I don't know where Luna is now. I don't look for her. Because deep down, I understand why she did it. And that understanding is the most terrifying part of all.